For 3 years, Ryan Brown made sure New Year's Eve didn't exist inside his home. Not the decorations. Not the countdowns. Not the champagne toasts at midnight. Not even the word itself. His mansion in Georgetown, 15,000 square feet of marble floors, vaulted ceilings, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Potomac, had become a place where December 31st was just another cold day on the calendar. No noise. No celebration. No joy. But on this New Year's Eve, Ryan came home early. His flight from Seattle landed 3 hours ahead of schedule. The business deal wrapped faster than expected. He didn't call ahead. Didn't text the staff. He just drove up the long snow-dusted driveway in his black Range Rover, his mind still on quarterly projections and investor calls, his suitcase still packed in the trunk. He pushed open the front door. And stopped. The hallway glowed. Not with the usual cold recessed lighting, but with something warmer. Something he hadn't seen in his house in 3 years. His eyes adjusted, and then he saw them, his 6-year-old triplets, Liam, Lucas, and Lily, standing in the center of the marble foyer wearing party hats, holding sparklers that crackled and hissed with golden light. Their faces were lit up, not just from the sparklers, but from something Ryan hadn't seen since their mother died. They were smiling. And standing with them, holding a fourth sparkler and laughing as Lily twirled hers in the air, was Ashley, the new maid he'd hired 2 weeks ago. Behind them, the double doors to the sitting room were open. Ryan's gaze drifted past the children and landed on what was inside. A New Year's Eve setup. Balloons. Streamers in silver and gold. A table with sparkling cider in plastic champagne flutes. A homemade banner stretched across the fireplace that read Happy New Year in glittery letters that looked like the kids had made it themselves. The very thing he had banned from this house. The sparklers fizzled out. The laughter stopped. Lily's smile faltered when she saw him standing there. Ashley's face went pale. Ryan stood frozen in the doorway, his chest tightening, his breath shallow. This wasn't just about broken rules. This was about the one night he'd sworn would never touch this house again. The night that took everything from him. And seeing his children's faces glowing with the kind of joy he'd kept from them for 3 years, it didn't just crack something inside him. It shattered everything he thought he'd been protecting them from. Ryan Brown wasn't always like this. There was a time when his house was full of noise, good noise. The kind that came from his wife Grace dancing in the kitchen while she cooked, the triplets squealing as he chased them through the hallways, music playing from every room. New Year's Eve used to be Grace's favorite night of the year. She'd start planning in November. She'd make a whole event out of it. Decorations, a big dinner, games for the kids even though they were too young to stay awake until midnight. She'd pour them sparkling cider in real glasses and let them toast with her and Ryan on the couch at 9 p.m., pretending it was the real countdown. It's not about the actual moment, Grace used to say, her dark eyes warm as she clinked her glass against Ryan's. It's about being together. That's the magic. Ryan had believed her. He'd believed in a lot of things back then, in love and family, in the idea that if you did everything right, life would be kind to you. Then December 31st, 3 years ago, shattered all of that. Grace had been feeling off for weeks. Tired. Dizzy. She kept brushing it off, saying it was just stress from the holidays, from chasing 3 toddlers around, from life. But that afternoon, while she was wrapping presents in their bedroom, she collapsed. Ryan found her on the floor, unconscious, the half-wrapped box still in her hand. The ambulance took 11 minutes to arrive. It felt like hours. At George Washington University Hospital, the doctors did scan after scan. When they finally came into the waiting room, their faces told Ryan everything before they even opened their mouths. Brain aneurysm. Catastrophic. There was bleeding they couldn't stop. Surgery wasn't an option. She had maybe hours. Maybe less. Ryan sat beside her bed as the machines beeped and nurses came in and out. Grace never woke up. He held her hand. He begged her to open her eyes. He prayed, something he hadn't done since he was a kid forced to go to church with his grandmother. He prayed harder than he'd ever prayed for anything. But at 11:47 p.m. on New Year's Eve, 13 minutes before midnight, Grace's heart stopped. The nurses were kind. They turned off the monitors so he wouldn't have to hear the flatline. But through the window of her hospital room, Ryan could see the streets of D.C. starting to fill with people. He could hear fireworks in the distance. At midnight, the city erupted. Cheering. horns, celebration. And Ryan sat there holding his dead wife's hand. He walked out of that hospital a different man. The Ryan Brown who believed in love, in joy, in the goodness of life, that man died with grace. What came home to his 3-year-old triplets was someone hollowed out. Someone who associated New Year's Eve with the worst pain a human being could feel. He made a decision that night. His children would never celebrate New Year's Eve. They would never experience the false hope, the fake happiness, the lie that a new year could bring anything good. He would protect them from that illusion. He would keep them safe from the kind of hope that gets ripped away. For 3 years, he'd kept that promise. Now, Ryan Brown was 38 years old. His tech company, Brown Tech Solutions, was worth $1.8 billion. He'd built an empire in cloud security and data analytics. Senators called him for advice. Forbes put him on covers. He had power, influence, and more money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes. But his house felt like a tomb. The mansion in Georgetown was stunning, everyone said so. Designers had decorated it. It had been featured in Architectural Digest. But inside, there was no warmth. The triplets moved through the halls like quiet shadows. They were homeschooled by a rotating team of tutors. They had every toy, every book, every advantage money could buy. But they had no childhood. Liam, Lucas, and Lily had been only 3 when their mother died. Their memories of Grace were faint, flashes of her smile, the sound of her laugh, the way she smelled like vanilla and lavender. Ryan never talked about her. Pictures of Grace still hung on the walls, but he never stopped to look at them. The kids learned quickly not to ask questions. And every year when December rolled around, the house got even quieter. Ryan's head of staff, Margaret, had worked for him for 8 years. She'd been there before Grace died. She understood his rules, even if she didn't agree with them. Every November, she reminded the household staff, no New Year's decorations, no mentions of the holiday, no exceptions. Anyone who violated the rules would be let go immediately. Over the past 3 years, 4 housekeepers had quit. They couldn't take it, the sadness, the oppression, the way those 3 beautiful kids lived like they were walking on eggshells in their own home. Then 2 weeks ago, Ashley Monroe walked through the door. Ashley was 31, a widow who'd lost her husband, Marcus, in a car accident on I-95 2 years earlier. He'd been driving home from a construction job in Baltimore when a semi-truck crossed the median. The impact killed him instantly. Ashley had been 7 months pregnant with their daughter Zoe at the time. She gave birth 6 weeks later. Alone. For 2 years, Ashley had been barely surviving. She worked 3 jobs, waitressing, cleaning offices at night, and doing freelance bookkeeping online. Her mother helped with Zoe during the day, but childcare was expensive, and the bills kept piling up. Marcus's life insurance had covered the funeral and not much else. Ashley was drowning. When the staffing agency told her about the position at the Brown estate, they were honest. The pay is incredible, but the environment is difficult. The father has strict rules. No holidays. Especially New Year's. It's non-negotiable. Ashley had hesitated. But when they told her the salary, more than all 3 of her jobs combined, she said yes. She needed this. Her first day was December 15th. Margaret showed her around the estate, explaining her duties in a brisk, no-nonsense tone. Clean the East Wing bedrooms. Prepare the children's meals. Maintain the library and sitting rooms. Stay out of Mr. Brown's way when he was home. And above all, no New Year's Eve anything. Ashley nodded. She understood rules. She understood loss. She could do this. But then she met the triplets. Liam and Lucas were identical, Ryan's dark hair, his serious gray eyes, his quiet intensity. Lily had her mother's delicate features, visible in the portraits throughout the house. Soft brown curls, a heart-shaped face, eyes that seemed to hold too much sadness for a 6-year-old. The 3 of them watched Ashley with cautious curiosity as she worked. They were polite. Almost too polite. They said please and thank you, and never raised their voices. But Ashley noticed the way they looked at each other when they thought no one was watching. Silent conversations happening in glances and small gestures. By the end of her first week, Ashley's heart was breaking for them. One afternoon, she was changing the linens in Lily's room when she noticed a notebook tucked under the little girl's pillow. Ashley hesitated, then carefully pulled it out. Inside were drawings. Crayon sketches of a family, a mom, a dad, 3 kids. And in every picture, there were decorations. Balloons. Streamers. A banner that said, "Happy New Year." Lily had drawn the celebration she'd never been allowed to have. Ashley quickly put the notebook back, her throat tight. Another time, she was walking past the playroom and heard muffled giggling. She peeked inside and saw all 3 kids huddled around an iPad, watching a video of a New Year's Eve countdown in Times Square. The sound was turned down low. When they heard footsteps in the hall, they scrambled to close the app, fear flashing across their faces. These children were living in a prison made of grief that wasn't even theirs. And their father was the one keeping them locked inside. One evening, Ashley was cleaning up the playroom when Lily appeared in the doorway. The little girl twisted her hands together nervously, her voice barely above a whisper. "Miss Ashley? Can I ask you something?" Ashley set down the toys she was organizing and nodded. "Of course, sweetheart." Liam and Lucas appeared behind their sister, both looking at Ashley with the same desperate hope in their eyes. Lily's voice trembled. "What's New Year's Eve really like?" Ashley's chest tightened. She knew she should deflect. Follow the rules. Protect her job. But looking at their faces, at the hunger for something normal, something joyful, she couldn't bring herself to lie. She sat down on the floor, and the triplets sat across from her. "It's about being with the people you love," Ashley said carefully. "It's about looking back at the year and being grateful for what you have. And then looking forward to the new year with hope. It's about new beginnings." "Do people have parties?" Lucas asked quietly. "Sometimes. Some people have big parties. Some people just stay home with their families. But the best part isn't the party. It's being together." Lily's eyes were shining. Do you celebrate it?" Ashley's throat closed. She thought of Marcus. Of the last New Year's Eve they'd spent together, laughing on their couch with cheap champagne and a frozen pizza, dreaming about the baby that was coming. She thought of the 2 New Year's Eves since then that she'd worked through, too heartbroken and exhausted to do anything but survive. "I used to," Ashley said softly. "With someone I loved very much." "What happened?" Liam asked. "He's not here anymore. But I still think about him every New Year's. And I'm grateful I got to celebrate with him while I could." The triplets were quiet. Then Lily whispered, "I wish Daddy would let us try it. Just once." Lucas didn't say anything. But Ashley saw him wipe his eyes. That night, lying in her small room on the 3rd floor, Ashley couldn't sleep. She thought about Zoe, about the New Year's Eves she wanted to give her daughter someday. She thought about these 3 kids living in luxury, but starving for the one thing money couldn't buy. And she thought about their father, a man so consumed by his own pain that he'd forgotten his children were in pain too. Something had to change. Ashley didn't know what or how. But she knew she couldn't watch these kids suffer in silence anymore. The question was whether she had the courage to do something about it. The answer came to her on December 28th, when Margaret announced that Mr. Brown would be flying to Seattle for an emergency investor meeting. He'd be gone for 2 days, leaving on the morning of December 30th and returning late on December 31st. 2 days. 48 hours without Ryan Brown in the house. 48 hours when those 3 children could experience something they'd been denied their entire lives. It was dangerous. If anyone found out, Ashley would be fired on the spot. She'd lose this income, lose any chance of bringing Zoe to live with her, lose everything she'd been working for. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw Lily's drawings. Heard Lucas's quiet question. Remembered the fear in their eyes when they thought they'd been caught watching that video. On the morning of December 30th, Ashley watched from the window as Ryan's car disappeared down the driveway. Then she turned to face the triplets, who were eating breakfast in the kitchen. And she made a decision that would change all of their lives. Maybe you've seen kids like this. Kids who have everything except the one thing that matters. If you have, then you know why this story needs to be told. And if watching someone risk everything to give children back their childhood means something to you, hit that subscribe button. Because what Ashley does next is going to cost her more than she knows. Ashley found the triplets in the sunroom after their morning tutoring session. They were sitting on the floor with coloring books, but none of them were actually coloring. Liam was staring out the window. Lucas was tracing the same circle over and over on his page. Lily was holding a purple crayon but hadn't made a single mark. They looked up when Ashley walked in, their eyes cautious. "Can I talk to you three for a minute?" Ashley asked, sitting down on the floor with them. They nodded. Ashley took a breath. "Your dad is going to be gone until tomorrow night. And I've been thinking about what you asked me the other day. About New Year's Eve." Lily's eyes went wide. Lucas sat up straighter. Liam just stared at her. "What if," Ashley said slowly, "just for tomorrow night, we celebrated? Just the four of us. Nothing big. Just some decorations, some sparkling cider, maybe a countdown at 9 o'clock so you guys don't have to stay up too late. A real New Year's Eve." For a long moment, none of them moved. Then Lily whispered, "But Daddy said we're not allowed." "I know," Ashley said. "And we'd have to keep it a secret. If anyone found out, I could lose my job. And you three might get in trouble. So if we do this, we do it together. And we have to be very, very careful." "Would we get in trouble?" Lucas asked, his voice small. Ashley's heart broke a little. "I don't know, sweetheart. Maybe. But sometimes doing the right thing is scary." Liam finally spoke, his voice quiet but steady. "Mom used to celebrate New Year's. I remember a little bit. She had lights everywhere." Ashley nodded. "Your mom loved this holiday. And I think she'd want you to experience it." Lily looked at her brothers, then back at Ashley. "Can we really do it?" "If you want to," Ashley said. "But it has to be your choice. All three of you." The triplets looked at each other. Something unspoken passed between them. Then one by one, they nodded. "Okay," Liam said. "Let's do it." Ashley felt a rush of fear and determination. "Then we start planning. Tonight, we make a list. Tomorrow, we make it happen." That evening, after Margaret had gone home and the night staff had retreated to their quarters, Ashley and the triplets gathered in the playroom with paper and markers. They wrote down everything they wanted: decorations, food, music, games. Lily wanted balloons. Lucas wanted sparklers. Liam wanted to make a banner. Ashley looked at their list and felt her stomach flip. This was really happening. "We'll need to go shopping tomorrow morning," she said. "Early, before anyone notices. And we'll have to set everything up while Margaret is running errands." "What if Daddy comes home early?" Lily asked, fear creeping into her voice. "He won't," Ashley said, hoping she was right. "His meeting isn't until late tomorrow. He won't be home until after midnight." But even as she said it, doubt gnawed at her. The triplets went to bed that night buzzing with excitement they tried to hide. Ashley lay awake in her room, wondering if she was making a terrible mistake. But when she closed her eyes, she saw Lily's drawings again. And she knew she couldn't turn back now. The next morning, December 31st, Ashley woke up before dawn. Her heart was racing. She had exactly 12 hours to pull this off before Ryan's flight was supposed to land. 12 hours to give 3 kids a memory they'd carry forever. Or 12 hours to ruin everything. She dressed quickly and went to wake the triplets. They were already awake, sitting on Lily's bed together, whispering. When they saw Ashley, they jumped up. "Is it time?" Liam asked. "It's time," Ashley said. "Get dressed. We're going to Target." Margaret didn't arrive until 8, which gave them a 2-hour window. Ashley loaded the kids into her old Honda Civic, something that felt strange after weeks of watching them ride in Ryan's Range Rover, and drove to the Target in Arlington. Inside the store, the triplets stared at the New Year's Eve section like it was Disneyland. Balloons in every color. Streamers. Party hats. Confetti poppers. They'd never been allowed near any of it. "Can we get the gold ones?" Lily asked, pointing at a package of balloons. "We can get whatever you want," Ashley said, grabbing a cart. They filled it with everything on their list. Silver and gold decorations. Plastic champagne flutes. Sparkling cider. Ingredients for a special dinner. And sparklers, the safe kind you could use indoors, the kind that wouldn't burn the house down. At the checkout, the cashier smiled at the kids. "Big party tonight?" Lily started to answer, but Liam gently elbowed her. "Just a small one," he said carefully. Ashley's chest tightened. They'd already learned to lie. 6 years old, and they'd learned to hide joy like it was something dangerous. Back at the house, Ashley parked in the garage and quickly unloaded everything into the storage room off the kitchen. Margaret's car was in the driveway. They'd have to wait until she left for her afternoon errands. The hours crawled by. The triplets did their lessons. Ashley did her regular cleaning. Everything looked normal. But underneath, there was a current of electricity running through all of them. At 2 o'clock, Margaret announced she was going to Georgetown to pick up supplies for the week. She'd be gone for at least 2 hours. The moment her car pulled away, Ashley and the triplets sprang into action. They worked like a team. Liam and Lucas blew up balloons while Ashley hung streamers from the ceiling of the sitting room. Lily carefully arranged the plastic champagne flutes on the coffee table. They made the banner together, using poster board and glitter glue, each of them taking turns writing letters. Happy New Year. Ashley hung it over the fireplace, and when she stepped back, she saw the triplets staring at it with wonder. It's beautiful, Lily whispered. They set up a playlist on Ashley's phone, clean, happy songs that wouldn't get them in trouble. They laid out ingredients for dinner: pasta, garlic bread, a salad. Simple but special. By 5 o'clock, everything was ready. The room glowed with decorations. The food was prepped. The sparklers were hidden in a cabinet, ready for the countdown. Ashley looked at the triplets, at their shining faces, and felt a surge of love so strong it almost knocked her over. You three did an amazing job, she said. Do you think Mom would like it? Lily asked quietly. Ashley's throat closed. I think your mom would love it. They ordered pizza for dinner, another thing they'd never been allowed to do. Ryan didn't believe in junk food. But tonight, rules didn't matter. They ate on the floor of the sitting room, laughing and talking, and for the first time since Ashley had arrived, the house felt alive. At 8:30, Ashley checked her phone. Ryan's flight was supposed to land at 11. They still had time. She pulled out the sparklers. Ready? She asked. The triplets nodded, their eyes huge. Ashley lit the first sparkler and handed it to Liam. Then Lucas. Then Lily. She lit her own last. The four of them stood in the center of the sitting room, surrounded by gold and silver, holding light in their hands. And for one perfect moment, everything was magic. Then they heard it. The sound of a car in the driveway. The slam of a car door. Footsteps on the front porch. Ashley's sparkler fell from her hand. The front door opened. And Ryan Brown walked inside. Time seemed to stop. Ryan stood in the doorway of his own home, his suit jacket wrinkled from the flight, his suitcase still in his hand, staring at the scene in front of him like he'd walked into a stranger's house. The sparklers were still crackling. The gold and silver decorations shimmered in the soft light. The banner hung above the fireplace, glitter still fresh, reading Happy New Year in childish handwriting. And his 3 children, his babies, the ones he'd been protecting from this exact moment for 3 years, stood frozen in the center of the room wearing party hats, holding sparklers, their faces caught between joy and terror. Ashley felt her stomach drop. She'd calculated everything. The flight time. The drive from Dulles. She'd had it all planned down to the minute. But Ryan was here. 3 hours early. Dad, Liam said, his voice barely a whisper. The sparkler trembled in his hand. Ryan's face was unreadable. He set his suitcase down slowly, his movements careful, controlled. But Ashley could see it, the tension in his jaw, the way his hands were shaking, the storm building behind his eyes. What, Ryan said, his voice dangerously quiet, is going on here? No one answered. Lily's sparkler fizzled out. She dropped it on the floor, tears already streaming down her face. Ryan's gaze moved from his children to Ashley, and the look in his eyes made her blood run cold. I can explain, Ashley started. You can explain? Ryan's voice rose. You can explain why you violated the one rule that matters in this house. Mr. Brown, please. I hired you 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks. And you thought you had the right to completely disregard everything I told you? To go behind my back and do the one thing I explicitly forbade. Ashley stepped forward, positioning herself slightly in front of the triplets. They wanted this. They needed this. You don't get to decide what my children need. Ryan shouted. His composure was cracking. You don't know them. You don't know what we've been through. You don't know, his voice broke. I know they're hurting, Ashley said, her own voice rising. I know they're 6 years old and they've never celebrated a holiday in their own home. I know they hide drawings under their pillows and watch videos in secret because they're desperate for something normal. I know they're living in a museum instead of a home. Get out, Ryan said, his voice shaking. You're fired. Pack your things and get out of my house. Daddy, no. Lily cried. She ran forward and grabbed Ryan's hand. Please don't make her leave. It was our idea. We asked her. Lily, go to your room. No. Lucas joined his sister, both of them clinging to their father. We wanted to celebrate. Just once. We wanted to know what it was like. Ryan looked down at his children, and Ashley saw the exact moment something in him broke. His face crumpled. His hands were shaking as he touched their heads. You don't understand, he whispered. This night, it took your mother from us. It's not a celebration. It's a curse. But Mom loved New Year's, Liam said quietly. He hadn't moved from where he stood, but his voice carried across the room. I remember. She told us it was about family. About being together. Ryan's breath caught. He looked at his son, at this little boy who barely remembered his mother, but was somehow holding on to her words like a lifeline. She would want us to celebrate, Liam continued. She'd want us to be happy. You don't know what she'd want, Ryan said, but there was no conviction in his voice anymore. Just exhaustion. Just grief. Ashley spoke softly. Maybe not. But I know what they need. And right now, Mr. Brown, they need their father to see them. Ryan's eyes met hers. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then Ryan's gaze drifted past them to the banner hanging over the fireplace. To the decorations his children had put up with their own hands. To the evidence of their desperate attempt at normalcy. His legs seemed to give out. He sank down onto the couch, his head in his hands. And in the silence that followed, Ashley heard something that broke her heart into pieces. Ryan Brown was crying. The triplets stood frozen, watching their father fall apart. They'd never seen him like this. In 3 years, Ryan had been cold, distant, unreachable, but never this. Never broken. Lily let go of his hand and backed up slowly, fear in her eyes. Lucas moved closer to Liam, and the two boys held onto each other. They didn't know what to do. Their father was supposed to be strong. Unbreakable. But the man sitting on the couch looked like he was being torn in half. Ashley knelt down in front of Ryan, her voice gentle. Mr. Brown. You don't understand, Ryan said through his tears. I watched her die in that hospital. I held her hand while the machines beeped and the doctors said there was nothing they could do. And outside the window, I could hear people celebrating. Fireworks. Cheering. The whole world was celebrating while my wife was dying. His voice cracked. At 11:47, Grace took her last breath. 13 minutes before midnight. 13 minutes before everyone in this city was going to toast to new beginnings and fresh starts and all the lies we tell ourselves about time healing wounds. And I sat there with her body and I heard them counting down outside. 10, 9, 8. And when they got to 1, when they all screamed Happy New Year, I wanted to scream back that there was nothing happy about it. That the new year had just stolen everything that mattered. Lily was crying now too. Lucas had his face buried in Liam's shoulder. But Liam was staring at his father with an expression beyond his years, understanding mixed with pain. I made a promise that night, Ryan continued. I promised myself I would never let this holiday into our lives again. I would never let it hurt us again. I thought I was protecting you. All of you. I thought if I could just keep New Year's Eve out of this house, I could keep the pain out too. Ashley's own eyes were wet. But you can't protect them from grief by surrounding them with it. You can't keep them safe by building walls. I don't know how else to do it, Ryan whispered. Every time I see anything about this holiday, all I see is that hospital room. All I hear is that countdown. All I feel is her hand going cold in mine. I know, Ashley said softly. I know what it's like to lose someone and have the world keep spinning like nothing happened. My husband died 2 years ago. Car accident on I-95. And for months afterward, I hated every person I saw laughing. Every couple holding hands. Every family that still got to be together. It felt like an insult that they were happy when my world had ended. Ryan looked up at her, really seeing her for the first time. But grief doesn't work like that, Ashley continued. You can't lock it in a room and pretend it's not there. You can't ban a holiday and think the pain will stay away. It just makes everything hurt more. Because you're not healing. You're just hiding. I don't know how to heal, Ryan said, his voice broken. I don't know how to move forward. Every day I wake up and she's still gone. Every day I look at our kids and see her face. Every day I try to be a good father and I fail because all I know how to do is survive. Lily suddenly broke away from her brothers and ran to Ryan. She threw her arms around his neck, her small body shaking with sobs. We miss her too, Daddy, she cried. We miss her so much. But we miss you too. You're here but you're not really here. And we just wanted one night. One night to feel like a family again. Ryan wrapped his arms around his daughter and pulled her close. Then Lucas ran over, and Liam followed, and suddenly all three children were piled on their father, all of them crying, all of them holding on like they were afraid to let go. Ashley stepped back, tears streaming down her face. This wasn't about her anymore. This was about a family that had been broken trying to find a way to be whole again. Ryan held his children and let himself cry for the first time since Grace's funeral. He cried for his wife, for the life they'd lost, for the years he'd wasted trying to protect his kids by pushing them away. He cried for every moment he'd missed, every smile he'd ignored, every time he'd chosen grief over love. And slowly, as the tears subsided, something shifted. Ryan pulled back and looked at his children's faces. Really looked at them. At Lily's big eyes, Grace's eyes. At Lucas's gentle spirit. At Liam's quiet strength. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. It's okay, Daddy, Lily said, her voice small. No, Ryan said. It's not okay. I've been selfish. I've been so focused on my own pain that I forgot you were in pain too. I forgot you lost a mother. I forgot you needed a father. We understand, Liam said quietly. We know you miss Mom. I do, Ryan said. Every single day. But that's not an excuse. Your mom. She wouldn't want this. She wouldn't want me to turn you into shadows. She'd want you to laugh and play and celebrate life. His voice broke again. She'd want you to celebrate New Year's. He looked around at the decorations, at the banner his children had made, at the evidence of the joy he'd been denying them. Can you forgive me? He asked them. All three children nodded, fresh tears spilling down their cheeks. Ryan looked over at Ashley, who was still standing by the doorway, trying to give them space. I'm sorry. You were right. About all of it. Ashley wiped her eyes. You don't have to apologize to me. Yes, I do. You risked your job to give my children something I should have given them years ago. You saw what I couldn't see. And instead of thanking you, I yelled at you. You were protecting them the only way you knew how, Ashley said gently. Ryan stood up slowly, the triplets still holding on to him. He walked over to the banner and touched the glittery letters with trembling fingers. Grace used to make banners like this, he said softly. She'd spend hours on them. She said the imperfections made them perfect. Lily smiled through her tears. We made it perfect, Daddy. Ryan looked down at his daughter and something in his face changed. The hardness that had been there for 3 years started to soften. The walls started to crack. You did, he said. You really did. He looked back at Ashley. You're not fired. Obviously. And I owe you more than an apology. I owe you everything. You don't owe me anything, Ashley said. But they deserve everything. Ryan nodded. He looked at his children, at their hopeful faces, and made a decision. It's 9:30, he said. Not quite midnight, but close enough. He took a deep breath. Do you guys still want to celebrate? The triplets' faces lit up like fireworks. Really? Lucas breathed. Really, Ryan said. Let's do this. All of us. Together. And for the first time in 3 years, the Brown family celebrated New Year's Eve. Ashley had never seen a transformation like this. One moment, the mansion had been filled with tension and tears. The next, it was alive with something that felt like hope. Ryan shed his suit jacket and rolled up his sleeves. He looked around the sitting room, taking in every detail of what his children had created, and his eyes kept filling with tears, but this time, they weren't just tears of grief. They were something else. Something healing. Okay, he said, his voice still shaky but stronger. What do we do first? Lily grabbed his hand. We need music. Ashley pulled out her phone and turned on the playlist they'd made earlier. Pop songs filled the room, bright and joyful. Lily started dancing immediately, twirling in her party hat. Lucas laughed and joined her. Ryan watched them, frozen for a moment, like he'd forgotten what children's laughter sounded like. Then Liam tugged on his father's hand. Come on, Dad. Dance with us. I don't really dance, buddy, Ryan said. Neither do we, Liam said with a small smile. But we're doing it anyway. Something broke loose in Ryan's chest. He let his son pull him into the center of the room, and then he was dancing, badly, awkwardly, like a man who'd forgotten how to let go. But he was trying. And watching him try, watching him let himself be foolish and imperfect with his children, made Ashley's throat tighten. They danced until they were breathless and laughing. Even Ryan was laughing, a sound that seemed to surprise him as much as it did everyone else. We need to eat. Lucas announced. Miss Ashley, is the food ready? Almost, Ashley said. But I might need some help finishing up. The five of them crowded into the kitchen. Ryan looked around like he was seeing it for the first time. When's the last time I was in here? He murmured. You're here now, Ashley said simply. They finished preparing the meal together. Ryan helped the kids make garlic bread, showing them how to spread butter evenly, laughing when Lucas used way too much garlic. They made a salad, and Lily insisted on arranging the tomatoes in a heart shape. They heated up the leftover pizza, and Ryan didn't say a word about nutrition or processed food. They ate at the coffee table in the sitting room, sitting on the floor like it was a picnic. Ryan kept looking at his children like he was memorizing their faces. The way Lily hummed while she ate. The way Lucas carefully picked off all the mushrooms. The way Liam watched everyone with quiet contentment. This is the best dinner I've ever had, Lily announced, her mouth full of pizza. Don't talk with your mouth full, Ryan started, then stopped himself. Actually, tonight? Tonight you can talk however you want. After dinner, they played games. Charades first, which ended with all of them laughing so hard they couldn't breathe. Then they made up a game where they had to tell their favorite memory, and Ashley watched Ryan's face as his children shared moments he'd never known mattered to them. Lily's favorite memory was when Grace made pancakes shaped like animals. She made me a butterfly, and it had blueberries for eyes. Lucas's favorite was a day at the National Zoo. We saw the pandas. And Dad let me get ice cream even though it was before lunch. Liam's was quieter. When Mom used to read to us before bed. She did all the different voices. And Dad would sit on the floor and listen too. And we were all together. Ryan's eyes filled with tears again, but he didn't hide them this time. I remember that, he whispered. I remember all of those. What's your favorite memory, Dad? Lily asked. Ryan was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, New Year's Eve 6 years ago. The last one before. He took a breath. Your mom was pregnant with you 3. She was huge, sorry sweetie, he said to Ashley, who smiled. She could barely move. But she insisted on celebrating. We couldn't go out, so we brought the celebration home. She made me hang streamers even though she could have hired someone. She said it wasn't about perfection. It was about us doing it together. He looked at the banner his children had made. We hung a banner just like that one. And at midnight, we stood in this room, well, your mom sat because her feet were swollen, and we made a promise. We promised that no matter what happened, we'd always celebrate together. As a family. We'd always make these moments matter. His voice broke. I forgot that promise. For 3 years, I forgot. You remember now, Liam said simply. Ryan pulled his son into a hug. Yeah, buddy. I remember now. At 9:45, Ashley checked her phone. It's almost time, she said. Time for what? Ryan asked. The countdown, Lily said, bouncing excitedly. We're doing it at 10 instead of midnight because we're kids. Ryan smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes for the first time. That's brilliant. Let's do it. Ashley grabbed the sparklers from the cabinet. Ryan's face went pale when he saw them. Are those safe? He asked. Indoor sparklers, Ashley assured him. They barely get warm. The kids tested them earlier. Ryan nodded, though Ashley could see the fear in his eyes. But he didn't say no. He trusted them. She handed out the sparklers. Ryan held his awkwardly, like he'd never held one before. Maybe he hadn't. Everyone ready? Ashley asked. They nodded. She lit Ryan's first. Then the triplets. Then her own. The room filled with golden light and the soft crackling of sparklers. The decorations glowed. The banner seemed to shimmer. And in the center of it all, a father and his 3 children stood together, holding light in their hands. Ashley pulled up a countdown timer on her phone. Okay, she said. 10 seconds until our new year. They all gathered close, their sparklers held high. 10, 9, 8. Ryan put his arm around Liam's shoulders. 7, 6, 5. Lily grabbed Lucas's hand. 4, 3, 2. Ryan looked at his children, and Ashley saw him mouth the words, I love you. 1. Happy New Year. The sparklers arced through the air as they all cheered. The triplets jumped and shouted and hugged each other. Ryan stood still for a moment, tears streaming down his face, and then he pulled all 3 children into his arms. Happy New Year, babies, he whispered. Happy New Year. They stood there, wrapped together, while the sparklers fizzled out and the music played and the world outside kept spinning. But inside that mansion, inside that moment, a family that had been broken was finally starting to heal. And Ashley, watching from a few feet away, thought about Marcus. About the New Year's Eves they'd never get to celebrate. About the life they'd never get to build. But also about how love didn't end when someone died. It transformed. It found new ways to matter. And sometimes, in giving joy to others, you found a little bit of healing for yourself. Miss Ashley, Lily said, breaking away from her family to hug Ashley's legs. Thank you for the best night ever. Ashley knelt down and hugged the little girl back. You're welcome, sweetheart. Thank you, Ryan said quietly, his voice thick with emotion. For seeing what I couldn't see. For being brave enough to break my rules. For giving my kids their childhood back. They did most of the work, Ashley said. They were the ones brave enough to hope. Ryan looked at his children, at their shining faces, and nodded. Yeah, they were. The night wound down slowly. They cleaned up together, laughing as they popped balloons and took down streamers. Ryan insisted on keeping the banner. We'll hang it every year, he said. To remember tonight. The triplets went to bed reluctantly, making Ryan promise to be there when they woke up. He promised. And Ashley believed he'd keep it. When the house was finally quiet, Ryan and Ashley stood in the sitting room, looking at the empty space where hours ago, magic had happened. I don't know how to thank you, Ryan said. You already did, Ashley said. By showing up. By trying. That's all they ever wanted. Ryan was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Grace would have liked you. She would have been grateful that you were here when I couldn't be. She raised good kids, Ashley said softly. Even without you being present, she's still in them. In Lily's kindness. In Lucas's joy. In Liam's strength. She's still here. Ryan's voice broke. I hope so. I know so, Ashley said. And now you get to honor her by being the father she knew you could be. Ryan nodded, wiping his eyes. I'm going to try. I'm going to really try. And looking at his face, at the determination mixed with grief mixed with hope, Ashley believed him. The new year had finally come to the Brown house. And with it, the promise of healing. If you've ever felt like Ryan, trapped in grief, unable to move forward, or if you've ever been like those kids, waiting for someone to see you, then you understand why this moment matters. Hit that subscribe button if you believe that healing is possible. Because what happens next will show you that even the most broken hearts can learn to beat again. Ashley woke up on January 1st to the sound of voices downstairs. For a moment, panic seized her. Had she overslept? Were the triplets in trouble? Then she remembered. Last night. The celebration. Ryan coming home. Everything changing. She got dressed quickly and made her way downstairs. The smell of bacon hit her first, which was strange because Margaret didn't work on New Year's Day, and Ryan had never cooked a meal in this house as far as Ashley knew. But when she reached the kitchen, there he was. Ryan Brown stood at the stove in jeans and a Georgetown t-shirt, flipping bacon with the concentration of a man defusing a bomb. The triplets sat at the kitchen island, still in their pajamas, watching their father with wonder and barely contained excitement. "Morning, Miss Ashley," Lily called out when she saw her. "Dad's making us breakfast." "I can see that," Ashley said, trying not to smile at the slightly panicked expression on Ryan's face as grease splattered. "I'm attempting to make breakfast," Ryan corrected. "The jury's still out on whether it'll be edible." "How do you tell when bacon is done?" "When it looks the way you want it to look," Ashley said, moving to stand beside him. "You like it crispy or chewy?" "I honestly don't remember," Ryan admitted. "Grace always made breakfast. I've been buying it from the cafe on Wisconsin Avenue for 3 years. "We never get bacon," Lucas said. "Dad says it's not heart-healthy." Ryan winced. "Yeah, well, I'm learning that being heart-healthy doesn't matter if you don't have a heart that's actually living." He glanced at Ashley. "Too philosophical for 8 a.m.? "Maybe a little," Ashley said with a small smile. "But I get it." They worked side by side, Ashley guiding him through the basics of breakfast. Ryan was hopeless with a spatula but determined. When he finally plated the bacon, some pieces charred, some undercooked, none of it perfect, he looked at his children nervously. "It's not going to be good," he warned. "It's going to be perfect," Liam said firmly. "Because you made it." Something in Ryan's expression cracked. He turned away quickly, pretending to wipe down the counter, but Ashley saw him brush his eyes. They ate together at the kitchen table, another first. The bacon was terrible and wonderful at the same time. The eggs were rubbery. The toast was burned on one side. And the triplets ate every bite like it was a 5-star meal. "Can we do this every morning?" Lily asked hopefully. "I don't know about every morning," Ryan said. "But more often. Definitely more often." After breakfast, Ryan did something else he'd never done. He asked his children what they wanted to do today. "Anything?" Lucas asked, his eyes wide. "Anything," Ryan confirmed. "Within reason. We're not getting a pet elephant." "Can we go to the National Mall?" Liam asked. "Can we be normal? Just for one day." Ashley saw Ryan struggle. He'd kept his children isolated for so long, homeschooled them, controlled their environment. The idea of taking them out into the world, of being a normal family in public, clearly terrified him. But he said yes. An hour later, they were bundled up in winter coats and headed out the door. Ashley started to hang back. This was family time, not her place, but Lily grabbed her hand. "You have to come," the little girl insisted. "You're part of this." Ashley looked at Ryan, who nodded. "Please come. You started this. You should see where it goes." So they went to the National Mall together, this unlikely group of 5. The city was quiet on New Year's Day, most people sleeping off celebrations or recovering from hangovers. But the monuments were open, and the winter sun was bright and cold. The triplets had been to the mall before, but always with tutors, always on structured educational outings. This was different. They ran ahead on the paths. They threw snowballs. They acted like the children they'd never been allowed to be. Ryan watched them with an expression Ashley couldn't quite read. Joy, grief, regret, relief. All of it tangled together. "I've stolen so much time," he said quietly as they walked behind the kids. 3 years. "I can't get that back." "No," Ashley agreed. "You can't. But you can give them everything that comes next." They stopped at the Lincoln Memorial. The triplets climbed the steps, racing each other to the top. Ryan followed more slowly, Ashley beside him. Inside, they stood before the massive statue of Lincoln. The kids read the Gettysburg Address carved into the wall, Liam sounding out the harder words. "He was a sad man," Lucas observed, looking up at Lincoln's face. "You can see it in his eyes." "Yeah," Ryan said softly. "He lost a lot. His son died while he was president. He carried the weight of a war that tore the country apart. But he kept going. He kept trying to do the right thing, even when it hurt." Like you, Liam said simply. Ryan looked at his son, startled. What? You're sad like he is. But you're trying. That's what matters. Ryan knelt down so he was eye level with Liam. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart, Liam said matter-of-factly. You just weren't paying attention. It should have stung. But Ryan laughed, a real genuine laugh. You're right. I wasn't. But I am now, okay? I'm paying attention now. Liam hugged him. And then Lucas and Lily joined in, and they were all tangled together at the feet of Lincoln while tourists smiled and took pictures of the sweet family moment. If only they knew the whole story, Ashley thought. If only they knew how close this family had come to staying broken forever. They got hot chocolate from a vendor near the Washington Monument. The Triplets had never had hot chocolate from a street cart before. Everything was a first today. Everything was healing. Miss Ashley, Lily said as they walked back toward where they'd parked. Are you going to stay with us? Of course, Ashley said. I work for your dad, remember? I don't mean like that, Lily said, her small face serious. I mean really stay. Like family. Ashley's throat closed. She glanced at Ryan, who was listening but not interrupting. I'd like to stay as long as I can, Ashley said carefully. As long as your dad needs me. We'll always need you, Lucas said with the confidence of a 6-year-old who didn't understand how complicated the world was. But maybe, Ashley thought, he understood the important parts better than any of them. That evening, after the Triplets were in bed, Ryan asked Ashley to join him in his study. She'd never been in this room before. It was Ryan's private space, off-limits to staff. It was exactly what she expected. Dark wood. Leather furniture. Bookshelves filled with business texts and tech journals. But on the desk, in a silver frame, was a photo of Grace. Ryan saw her looking at it. I haven't looked at that picture in a year, he admitted. I thought if I didn't look at her, it would hurt less. But it just made me forget. Not her, I could never forget her, but what we had. What we were. Who I was when she was alive. He sat down heavily in the desk chair. Ashley remained standing, unsure of her place in this moment. I need to ask you something, Ryan said. And I need you to be honest. Do you think Grace would have forgiven me? For what I did to our kids? Ashley was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I never knew your wife. But I know she loved those kids more than anything. And I think she'd have been heartbroken to see them hurting. But I also think she'd have understood why you did it. And I know she'd be grateful you found your way back. I don't feel found, Ryan said. I feel. I don't know what I feel. Everything is different now. The house feels different. I feel different. And I don't know how to do this. How to be their dad again. How to be present instead of just surviving. You start by doing what you did today, Ashley said gently. You show up. You try. You forgive yourself when you mess up. You let them see you trying. What if I fail them again? But this isn't the end of the story. See you in part 2. I can't wait to share how this beautiful story ends.